So if you have a coaching business or a consulting type of business, then you would probably be aware already that it's really important to have the right offer, because if you don't have the right offer, then you don't have people buying, and that means you don't have a successful business, right? You might have an expensive hobby. So today I'm going to share with you what I consider to be the 3 most important key things to have that would make your coaching offer a successful one, a profitable one for you, and sustainable as well. Stay tuned, it's coming right up. Hello, I'm your host, Jessica Osborne. I'm a marketing strategist with almost 3 decades of experience now running marketing strategy, building businesses and brands all over the world, including 2 businesses of my own that I started from home while I've had little kids running around, and I wanted to be a present mum who was at home and was at school for them and all of those things. So I created this podcast to inspire you to get out of your own way, to build the business that suits your life. Screw the rules, screw what everybody else is telling you. Let's make it work your way. And I aim to bring you strategies, mindset perspectives, stories of success of many other female entrepreneurs who have walked this path before you, and bring that all to you in a beautiful weekly episode. So this is your weekly dose of motivation and inspiration. She's a Business podcast is proudly made by women for women specifically. And we're talking to you about the things that really are a female experience of business. So let's get started on today's episode. The 3 keys to having a successful coaching offer. Now, I'm just going to prelude this with a little background because I've been running my coaching business for about a decade now. We're just coming up to that 10-year mark. And I have to say that I have tried almost every different type of coaching offer there is. I think the only one that I haven't technically done fully is the retreat, because I attempted to run retreats 3 times during COVID, had to cancel all of them, and I just have not bounced back from that yet. It is on my to-do list. I will absolutely run a retreat one day. I really can't wait to do it. It's something I feel very excited about, but the time is not right now. So yeah, to be honest, I've done everything else. I've done one-to-one memberships, courses, workshops, paid workshops, group programs. What else is there? There are so many different aspects of it. And there's so many different combinations. You know, there's coaching programs that have course content. There's courses that have live coaching within them. There's many different sort of methods and models that you can use. Likewise, if you are a consultant or a service provider, there are more than one way that you can provide your offering too. And today, let's talk about what needs to go into your offer to make sure that it's one that sells easily without you needing to be running massive campaigns and huge ad budgets and reaching, tens of thousands of people just to make a few sales. Because usually the campaign method that you use should be what aligns with the offer. Now, if you need tens of thousands of people in your offer to make it profitable, then sure, you're going to be running those high volume methods. But most of the women that I've ever worked with in this whole decade of coaching women on their businesses, most people are not running these high volume businesses. They are predominantly working one-to-one or have a high touch group that is of, limited seats, which means that you don't need these huge audiences of thousands and thousands of people in order to make the sales. So what is the thing actually stopping it? Well, it comes down to the offer. So let me break down for you the 3 most important aspects that really set your offer apart and in a place where it's profitable for you and it's sustainable for you to run your business and actually grow and scale this thing to wherever you would like to scale. I know I get people who say to me, but Jess, I don't want a huge business. I don't want to scale it. I'm like, by scaling, I mean scale the revenue, earn more profit. Who doesn't want to do that? I don't know anyone who's sitting around saying, oh no, I really only want to have, this really low amount and that's all I ever want. Well, if you could have more without doing more, wouldn't you want that? I think most people would, not because you maybe yourself need the money or want the money. Maybe it's because you'd love to invest back into the community. You'd love to pay it forward. You'd love to share it. And the good thing is that when women grow successful businesses, then everything that they touch grows as well. You see it, by simply growing your business to the level where you're hiring people, then that is adding to the community. You're hiring someone, you're paying them, they're paying people who do stuff for them. The money is flowing, it's flowing through. When it doesn't flow is when we're limiting ourselves, when we're staying really small, when we're constricting our own ability to earn based on some strange perception that it would be a bad thing to earn more money. It's never a bad thing. So let's break that away and feel like the possibilities are really endless, and you can scale a business without having a huge team. You can scale a business without all of these things that you might think that you don't want. It is absolutely possible. That comes down to the design of your offer, which is what we're talking about today. So, number one, your offer must be distinct. And by distinct, I mean it's set alone in a space, as in it is not a cookie cutter carbon copy of some other coach's offering program. So often I see people go through a program and then literally try to create the exact same offer that coach has had with their own name on it or whatever. Like, just putting your own name on it does not make it your own. It's just a carbon copy of someone else's. And I know that there are many coaching institutes that tell you how to do your certification and how to be a coach. They often provide these templated models. Now, nothing wrong with starting off with a template, because can be better than starting with a blank page. Totally get that. That's fine. But the thing is that it shouldn't be the actual constriction that you put on yourself, that you must follow this specific formula. Because what if it doesn't suit your exact audience? What if it doesn't suit the transformation that you bring about? There literally is no template that could be used by every single coach in every niche and it be a success. They're vastly different, because you need to be that well in tune with who it is that you're here to serve, that you're creating the offer that's actually right for them. You're not creating an offer like, oh, I need to create something to sell and make money. Well, okay, well, then you're really starting with a giant blank page, and that is a really non-successful way to try to build an offer. Where you are creating something that will work and then that people will buy, therefore it be successful, is when you're creating the offer for the people of what it is that they already want, what it is that they are going to buy. So it's irrelevant, the structure of it to begin with. It's much more about the distinction and the alignment. So let me talk a little bit more about this. When I say distinction, it means that you are actually centering in on the thing that sets you apart from others, the thing that makes you unique, the reason why you're a coach in this space in the first place. Why are you here? What have you mastered? What do you know that's different to what other people know? How can you serve your people in a way that is right for them? There's a few places a lot of people get stuck on this process. I'm not going to go through it all here, because when we go through it in my program Business Jam, like, this takes a few weeks to kind of peel back the layers, to get really clear and crystal clear on what it is that you're there to do, who it is that you're there to serve, and why you are the best one for them. They sound like really simple questions, but actually getting the pieces to align does take a bit of flexing. We kind of go in, we get one thing semi-clear, then you start on the next bit, you align that, then the next bit. They all come together, and they do come together quickly and beautifully, but it takes longer than what this podcast episode is. So that's something that obviously we do a different way, where we can actually spend the time to make sure that you are tuning in to the space that you need to be in, not what someone else is doing. And that is so important, because if you're just the same as other people, you're competing with sameness, which means that people are going to compare you based on price. And we all know what that means. When there's a price comparison, people are choosing based on price. Most people think if they're two apples, they are the same, I'll choose the cheaper apple. And that is never a good thing for any market, because as soon as someone's choosing based on the cheaper price, then everyone else lowers their price. You lower it down and down and down. And from a business perspective, that leads to a place where you're probably completely undercharging and over-delivering. It's just not sustainable. What happens then is you reach your ceiling, you reach your profit your capacity ceiling, as in, and you haven't made enough. You're certainly not making enough profit to then be able to hire people in that would help you to grow the business and serve more clients and be able to expand. So, really create a massive limit on yourself when you're in a price comparison space, which is why you want to get out of that. You don't want to be in a price comparison space. You want to be in a place where people are like, this feels different. This isn't the same as all these other ones that I can see over there. This has something different, unique. I trust this person. They look like the best one to get me to my goal. And that's often because it just has a level of distinction that no one else is able to copy. Distinction meaning uniqueness. And yes, there's a whole lot of stuff that we can do to help you zero in on what that is for you. But it's very, very important, especially now the market is absolutely crowded. It's getting more crowded. There is a lot more coaching demand as well. Like, people want to hire coaches, but they don't want just any old coach. They don't want the bog standard. If there's lots of choice, they're looking for the ones that they're like, wow, this person is clearly in a league of their own. They're standing in a space. Women are not small men. We're wired completely differently. And that's why if you've been trying really hard to implement a marketing method that a male created that seems to work really well for them, but for you, it's just feeling like there's something wrong, it's awkward, it's maybe uncomfortable, then you probably also have been thinking there must be something wrong with you. Maybe you've been told that it's because you need to step outside of your comfort zone and it's supposed to feel uncomfortable. But here's the thing, it's not that. It's because you're not operating from your place of personal power, and is absolutely essential for any woman who wants to be seen as an expert, who wants to be a leader in their space, and even just stand out as someone distinctly different, make an impact in your audience and your community. Then you must be operating from a place of personal power for your marketing to have any weight behind it, for it to land, for it to work properly. And that's why I've decided to run a live experience, a special kind of training just for women, where we're going to unpack all of this. We're going to help you to see what's going on in your business and what you actually need to have in place so that you can stand in your personal power and attract in the clients that are right for you, who see your value and are absolutely willing to pay for it. Now, this is going to be run a bit like one of my normal programs. The only difference is that it's at no cost to you. So when you sign up for Master Your Marketing, you're going to get a login to my client portal, and that's where this entire training experience is going to happen over the space of a couple of different sessions. And it's kicking off at the end of June. Make sure that you get in there right now, nab your spot so that you're ready for the very first session that will be coming out on the 25th of June. Head to jessicaosborne.com/MYM, which stands for Master Your Marketing, to get access to this right now. And I'll look forward to seeing you in there. Now, let's get back to our episode for today. Now, you don't have to be the number one coach in the whole world to be the one standing in the league of your own. This is where the distinction, the differentiation comes in. By creating differentiation, something that you can be an expert in, that you have distinction around, that sets you apart. And it can happen if you have a brand new coaching business. It can happen if you've got a 20-year-old coaching business, if you've been doing this for ages and ages, and then you're feeling like, oh, I'm just stuck at this plateau, not going anywhere. You can do it too. Like, it can happen at any point in your journey. Often people give it a go first, being the sort of generic broad type, and then they realize, oh, this is actually really hard. And, you're chasing lots of leads that don't convert and people ghosting you. And, you get people on calls who are just like half in, half not in. They're not sure. They want to talk to 10 other people before they make a decision. Well, that shows you that there is no distinction right now. They're just seeing you as one of many choices. So you can avoid that. You can have calls where people get on the call and they're like, I've seen your stuff, I've been listening to you or following you, and they're literally just wanting to know the next steps. They're already sold. They already want to work with you before they get on the call. That's what that level of distinction actually creates. So really, really important. Cannot stress this enough. It's why I focus so much of my teaching on it, because honestly, when people nail this first piece, they actually get that level of distinction. They start to have their ideal clients popping into their inbox, like booking calls with them, signing up, reaching out. And they're like, well, where did this come from? I'm like, it's because you're clear. Like, you finally got that space. And, you know, whether you want to call it the universe or not, but the universe is responding to your level of clarity, your conviction, your confidence in where you stand. And I've got so many stories. I don't have the time to share them all with you now, but you can read them on my website if you'd like. So number 2, the second thing that you need for your offer to be really successful for you and your business is a really good balance between the value and the price. The value is not the price is not the value. It has to be balanced. And what that means is there's a perception of the value for the price, but that doesn't mean that you need to be undercharging, as I've mentioned before. Not great for any business to undercharge because it leads you nowhere. You don't want to be overcharging either, because, you know, that becomes really obvious when you start going into the delivery and people get very, you know, they feel dissatisfied. They're like, oh, I've paid a lot of money for this and this is all it is. That's not great either. So there needs to be an absolute balance that has happened between these two things, the perception of value and what the price is. Price is so important. It does create the perception of the value in the first place. And that helps you attract the right people in. You actually want people who are going to value what it is that you're offering. You don't want people who, you know, are half in, not committed, or who are doing this just because it's the cheapest one. You will find that those tend to be the hardest clients to help because they're only doing it because it's cheapest. You want people who are really in there because they see the value of the outcome. They know what it's worth to them and they're here for it. So where pricing, gosh, again, this is another huge aspect that we spend a lot of time on when I'm working with you inside Business Jam. But there is a price point for every offer that is unique and different. And there's lots of different tools that we use in order to figure out what that is for you. Of course, there's, you know, crunching the numbers, there's other parts of it, there's looking at inclusions, looking at the outcome, all of these things that we do that end up pointing to a number that is the right fit. And what that means is it's a good deal for your client. They're thinking, this is amazing, I'm in 100%, right? Because that makes it a saleable offer. That makes it something people will want to have. The other point is that it's actually a good deal for you as well, right? You must have a good deal on both sides. If it's only a win for the client and not for you, it is not a win-win. This is not a great offer. And, you know, we said before, that usually means you're undercharging. So many women undercharge. They feel awkward. They don't know how to value their stuff. They don't know how to price it at a rate that is, you know, commiserate with the real value. And by this, you know, there's a lot of talk out there. I listen to some coaches saying, you know, you stack on loads more value and then, you know, so it looks like they're getting a really good deal. It looks like it's underpriced. But this brings me to the third point, and that is about the experience someone has. You never want to be stacking so much value on your offers, added value, that's actually not necessary, because the more things you add in that they think they're getting as part of the deal that's making it that value, for one, it's really detracting away from the perception of value of the real work that they're there to do, like your actual core program. But it's also adding what I've noticed and seen, and yes, I've made this mistake myself, it adds stress. People get really stressed because they're like, oh, there's all these extra things and I don't have time to do them, and they're sitting there and now I'm not getting the value that I paid for. And so they actually end up more dissatisfied than satisfied, even though you've given them more stuff than what was even required, even though you've been so overly generous. So there is a really fine balance to make when you're looking at inclusions, when you're looking at things like bonuses. And I have a few rules around that to make sure that you're giving them enough that absolutely they're going to get the outcome and that it's helping them to say yes to your offer, but not too much that it's going to lead to dissatisfaction or overworking on your part, because those two things are really bad for business. Dissatisfaction, if they are not satisfied, That leads to refund requests. It leads to cancellations. The number one reason people cancel, programs where it's more like a membership style coaching program is literally overwhelm. They're just like, there's so much. I'm lost. I don't even know where to start. I'm not getting value from it. They cancel because there's too much, not that there's not enough. Most people will overstuff. They will over deliver. Yes, I have done it. And even though I know this, I still will have that moment where my, intuition, that automatic need to, I guess to give and to, I want to make sure people really love it. It can cause me to feel like I need to add more stuff in, when actually, if I look at it from a client's point of view, I'm like, I want to get to the outcome in the fastest, simplest way. I don't want 10 extra steps. I don't want all these other things. If they're not going to help me get there, I don't want to do them. That's just a distraction, especially because, I have limited time. I've got limited time that I want to spend on doing the business. So that is super important. That's the 3. That's what I've got for you today. Hope you tune in again next week. Got an amazing episode coming up with a really incredible woman. She is actually local to me. We had an amazing chat and can't wait to share all of her knowledge with you. So I'll see you next week, and tune in. Let me know. Post on Instagram, tag me in your stories if you found this episode useful. And also, before you go right now, if you want to know more about this, I'm actually hosting a training. It's called Master Your Marketing. It is where I'm going to break down for you a lot more about what I talked about today. So we're going to get into what these things look like. What do you need to have? How do you actually create that sort of positioning that sets you apart, builds demand, makes you really distinctive. That is going to get explained in far more detail. So if you're up for that, then head over to my website right now and register for Master Your Marketing. There's going to be, this is going to be something that stays around as well. So I am going to be in there doing live content. There will be recordings, but there will be consistent live content. So even if you've listened to this episode and it's now, months down the track from when it was published, it is still valuable for you to register for Master Your Marketing, because I'm going to be doing live content in there regularly. Plan is to be doing it once a month. So come and join me in there, and we will be addressing all of these things in much greater detail. Best thing is, it's actually free. Costs you nothing. So why wouldn't you want to do it? Love it. All right, guys, I will see you next week. Ciao. Have a good one. Bye.